Have you ever finished a book and thought, wait, what? How did I not see that coming? While simultaneously thinking, oh my god, it was right there the whole time. That electric combination of shock and inevitability, that's the hallmark of a masterful plot twist. Yet, you'd be surprised by how many writers actually get this wrong. Often it's because they think that a plot twist just needs to be surprising, so they pull something out of thin air in the final act and call it a day, which leads to readers feeling cheated instead of satisfied. They close the book and think, wow, that really sucked. No writer wants that. That's why today we're breaking down the architecture of plot twists that actually work. The ones that make readers gasp and then immediately flip back to see how they missed all the signs. Because the best plot twists aren't just surprising, they feel inevitable in hindsight. If you're new here, my name is Brianna and I post writing videos every Sunday that help you become a better writer. I also make easy to use writing workbooks that help you build and outline your novel from start to finish, so if you're interested, check them out in my Etsy shop, Planner Palette Co., linked in the description below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Now before I start, I just wanted to say Happy New Year to everybody who has been watching my videos, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. And I am very grateful that I have the ability to be here and just talk about my favorite subject. I hope you had amazing holidays, and if you got sick like I did with that really awful flu, I hope you've recovered, and I apologize in advance if my voice sounds a bit weird. I'm still recovering. So you might notice more cuts than normal in this video, and it's most likely just me cutting out all of the coughing fits that I'm having. Like that one. I just had one. So let's start with why most plot twists tend to fail, and it's because a lot of writers, and I'll be blunt here, most writers confuse surprising with random. Let's say you're a reader who's invested in the story, you care about the characters, you're following the logic of the plot, and then bam, something completely out of left field happens. There's a secret twin, or a magical artifact that was never mentioned before, a character motivation that contradicts everything we've seen up until this point. The author thinks they've shocked you, but really you just feel betrayed by a cheap trick. This is the Deus Ex Machina problem, and it's a term that literally means God from the machine. And it refers to ancient Greek plays where they would literally lower an actor onto the stage to play a god who magically solves all the characters' problems. It was lazy then, and it is lazy now. So let's look at a weak example of this. The protagonist has been battling an unstoppable Dark Lord for 300 pages. They've lost friends, they've sacrificed everything, they're exhausted and outmatched, and then right before the final battle or the climax, they discovered that the necklace their grandmother gave them that they've been wearing throughout the entire story conveniently has the power to defeat this Dark Lord. Now, this scenario wouldn't be a bad thing, but it's the fact that this necklace was never mentioned before, or maybe it was once at the very beginning of the story, but was never alluded to again. There were no hints or clues or foreshadowing. It's just suddenly there as the solution because the author needed a way to end the story. How does that make you feel as a reader? Probably frustrated, right? Because the protagonist didn't actually earn the victory. The author just handed it to them at the last second. All that hard-earned character development, stakes, and nail-biting tension just gets smacked to the side, and their epic victory is now handed to them on a silver platter. Now, this happens in media more often than you'd think, the most obvious example being Game of Thrones. Now, from a storytelling standpoint, I actually liked that Daenerys went from a compassionate liberator to a mad ruler in the end, but the execution of that transition was rushed and weak. Audiences can smell a cheap twist from a mile away, and once you lose reader trust, it's almost impossible to get it back. When a plot twist comes from nowhere, it breaks the implicit contract between the writer and the reader. Readers agreed to suspend their disbelief and invest emotionally into your story, and in return, you give them a story that operates on consistent internal logic, where the surprises feel earned rather than arbitrary. So how do we avoid this trap? By focusing on two things: setup and payoff. The secret to a satisfying plot twist is that it needs to be set up long before it's revealed. So laying the breadcrumbs throughout your story. Small details, seemingly throwaway lines, character quirks, things that don't seem important at the time, but become crucial when the twist is revealed. And this is what Brandon Sanderson does really well in the Mistborn series. Without spoiling too much, there is a major twist at the end of the first book, and when you read it the first time, it's genuinely shocking. But when you either reread the book or think back on earlier scenes, you realize that Sanderson planted clues on almost every page, and you were eating those breadcrumbs up without even realizing it. Character comments that seem like exposition suddenly take on double meanings. Details about the magic system that felt like world building actually pointed directly at the reveal. The twist was hiding in plain sight the entire time, and that's what you're aiming for, hiding in plain sight. But it's a delicate balance. Your breadcrumbs can't be too obvious, or the twist becomes predictable. They also can't be too obscure, or it feels like the twist came from nowhere. You want your twist to lie right within the Goldilocks zone of foreshadowing. Think of it this way. You're giving the readers all the puzzle pieces, but you're not giving them the picture on the box. They have everything they need to solve the mystery, they just don't realize they're solving a mystery at all. They think they're just reading a story. So in Patrick Rothfuss's The Name of the Wind, there are multiple layers of mystery surrounding Kvotha's story, and Rothfuss seeds clues throughout with small inconsistencies in Kvotha's narration, details about the magic system that seem like flavor text but become important later on, character interactions that feel natural in the moment but then take on new significance as you learn more. The setup is so subtle that most readers don't consciously notice these details on a first read, but they register subconsciously, which creates that feeling of, I should have seen this coming, when the reveals do happen. So here are 5 key techniques for building an effective setup. First, plant multiple types of clues. Don't rely just on foreshadowing. Use dialogue, internal thoughts, environmental details, character behavior, and even chapter structure to hint at your twist. The more angles you approach from, the more inevitable the twist will feel in retrospect. Second, make your clues serve multiple purposes. Strong foreshadowing doesn't feel like foreshadowing. It feels like characterization, world building, or plot development. A character's throwaway comment about their past can be a clue and also reveal something about their personality or advance the current scene. In this way, the clue doesn't stick out as obviously planted. Third, use the rule of 3. In storytelling, information often needs to be presented 3 times before an audience really absorbs it. Mention your clue once and readers might miss it. Mention it twice and they might start to notice. Mention it 3 times and it lodges into their subconscious, which makes the eventual reveal feel natural rather than a cheap shock. Fourth, control your flow of information. Your protagonist doesn't need to have all the information, and they probably shouldn't. One technique is to show readers things that the protagonist doesn't see, or give them information that the protagonist doesn't have. This creates dramatic irony and makes readers feel smart when they piece things together before or right alongside the protagonist. And fifth, create red herrings, but make them fair. A red herring is a false clue that points readers towards the wrong conclusion. These can be quite powerful, but they have to follow the same rules as your real clues, meaning they need to be logically consistent with your story's world. A red herring shouldn't be a lie, it should be a truth that's easy to misinterpret. So let's look at the difference between a weak setup and a strong setup. So a weak setup might have your protagonist needing to defeat a dragon in the climax. In chapter 2, a merchant casually mentions that dragons are afraid of silver, but this is never brought up again until the final battle itself, when the protagonist suddenly, conveniently remembers and uses a silver blade to win. This setup is weak because the information is too isolated. It's mentioned once, forgotten completely, and then suddenly remembered at the exact moment it's convenient. This feels planted and obvious. So a stronger setup would have the same premise. Your protagonist needs to defeat a dragon in the climax. Throughout the story, though, you establish that, 1, in chapter 2, villagers wear silver jewelry as good luck charms, and the protagonist thinks this is just superstition. Then, in chapter 8, an older woman mentions that her grandmother used to say, silver keeps the fire at bay, which the protagonist interprets as protection against something like house fires. Then in chapter 15, the protagonist infiltrates the dragon's lair and notices that there's no silver there despite it being full of other precious metals and gems. And finally, in chapter 20, a scholar mentions that ancient dragon slayers used blessed metal, but the exact type was lost to history. So now when the protagonist realizes in the climax that silver affects or weakens or hurts dragons in some way, it feels earned. Multiple sources pointed to this truth, each in different contexts, and the information was integrated into the world naturally. Readers may have picked up on it or they may have missed it, but either way, they can look back and see the pattern. Now, obviously, this example that I've given here isn't perfect. It's just to give you a basic idea of how the elements of a strong setup can look like when put together. The key is that your setup should create a foundation of logic that makes your twist possible without making it obvious. You're building a path for readers to walk back on after the reveal and showing them, see, it was always going there. Okay, so you've laid the breadcrumbs, you've planted your clues, and now comes the moment of truth, the actual reveal or the payoff. And this is where a lot of writers can stumble even after doing all of the setup work correctly, because timing and delivery matter just as much as the groundwork. The revelation of your twist should create that sought after double take effect. First, there's the immediate shock, the gasp, the wait, what moment? And then almost immediately after comes the secondary reaction, the oh my god, how did I not see that? As all the pieces click into place. This double take effect plays a large part in separating satisfying twists from frustrating ones. If readers only experience the shock without the follow up understanding, the twist feels random. If they only experience understanding without the initial shock, then the twist was too predictable. You need both. So let's talk about timing first. There's a Goldilocks zone for when to reveal your twist. Not too early and not too late. If you reveal it too early, your story loses its momentum. If you reveal it too late, then it feels rushed and like you're just trying to end on a cliffhanger. A general guideline is that your major plot twist should typically happen at around the 75 to 80% mark of your story, because this gives readers enough time to process the revelation and then also see its consequences play out. The twist isn't the end, it's the catalyst for the true climax. The story doesn't end when the secret is revealed, it transforms when the secret is revealed. And you need space to explore that transformation after. Now, obviously, this depends on your story, but this is a good general rule of thumb to follow if you're not sure where you want to place your twist. Think about The Sixth Sense, and spoiler alert in case you haven't watched it yet, so skip this part if you don't want to hear it. The famous twist is revealed in the final 15 minutes, but the movie doesn't just end once Bruce Willis realizes he's dead. We get those final emotional beats, that crushing scene with his wife, the resolution with the boy. The twist recontextualizes everything, but we need time to sit with that recontextualization. Now let's talk about the reveal itself, because how you actually deliver the information matters enormously. Thankfully, you have several options. Option 1, the protagonist figures it out. This is often the most satisfying because we've been riding along with this character the entire time, and we get to experience that moment of realization with them. The key here is showing their thought process. Don't just have them suddenly know the answer. Show them putting the pieces together and let the readers follow the logic themselves. Option 2, another character can reveal it. This works well when you want to create dramatic irony or when the reveal comes from an antagonist explaining their plan. The danger here, though, is the villain monologue trap. Okay, you know, when the bad guy conveniently explains everything, which conveniently gives the hero enough time to defeat them and the means to defeat them. To avoid this, make sure the reveal comes naturally from the character's motivation. Why would they reveal this information right now? What do they gain from it? Option 3, the reader figures it out slightly before the protagonist. This creates a delicious tension because we see the protagonist walking toward the truth and we want to reach into the pages and shake them because we already know what it is. Now, this only works if you've planted enough clues that the majority of your readers can realistically piece it together on their own. And it also only works if they figure it out right before the protagonist, not like from the beginning of the story. Otherwise, then your plot twist is too predictable. And option 4, the reveal happens through action rather than explanation. Sometimes the most powerful way to reveal a plot twist is to show it happening rather than explaining it through exposition or backstory. So a character does something that only makes sense if X is true, and we realize that X must be true because of what we're witnessing. Which leads to my next point. Emotional resonance. Your twist can't just be intellectually clever. It needs to mean something emotionally for your characters and your readers. If you have a twist that surprises your mind and also punches your heart out, you're on the right track. So when the twist is revealed in Mistborn, it's not just a cool gotcha moment. It reframes the entire struggle. It adds tragic depth to a character we thought was simply evil. It makes the protagonist's journey more complex and meaningful. The intellectual surprise is paired with emotional devastation, and that's what makes it memorable. After your reveal, give your readers a moment to breathe. This might be through a character's reaction, a moment of silence, a scene break, something that allows the information to sink in. Think of it like a musical rest. The silence around it makes the actual notes that much more powerful. And then comes the aftermath, showing how the twist changes everything. This is where you prove that the twist wasn't just a gimmick, it was a fundamental shift in the story's reality. What do characters do with this information? How does it change their relationships, their goals, or their understanding of themselves? In The Name of the Wind, when certain truths about Kvathe's story are revealed, the emotional weight comes from how it reframes his entire journey. We realize we've been understanding the story one way, but it was always something different. That recontextualization is what makes the twists resonate. It's not just about the surprise, it's about how the surprise deepens everything that came before. So when writing your reveal, ask yourself the following. Does it happen at the right time in your story structure? Does the delivery method fit naturally with your narrative? Does it create both intellectual surprise and emotional impact? Does it recontextualize earlier events in meaningful ways? Does it raise the stakes or complicate the conflict rather than simply resolving it? And do your characters react in realistic, emotionally authentic ways to it? If you can answer yes to all or most of these, you're on the right track. So now we're going to get to the really tricky part, which is balancing surprise with internal logic. And this is where it can really be easy to struggle because these two goals can feel contradictory. How do you shock readers while also making them think, of course, it all makes sense now? But for the sake of not making this video too long, because I feel like this is going to turn out to be a two-parter, I'm going to leave the video at this point, and next week, next Sunday, we will talk about how to balance the surprise versus the logic. We'll talk about how to achieve this balance in your own story, and I'll also give you a 7-step framework that you can follow if you're struggling to implement a strong plot twist in your own writing. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and keep an eye out for that video to come next Sunday. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, you might want to watch this one next. And tell me, what do you struggle with the most when writing a plot twist in your own story? Until the next chapter.